I really like Oomph, but for project needs at Capgemini, for example, it's sometimes a little bit too less if you want to have a specific version of Java, of Maven, and so on for your projects. So, just about me, for short, I'm the first time here at the conference. I'm working with Java since 1.5 and Eclipse since Galileo, so working also on different plugins. Maybe you have seen Azure Review in the web. It's a review tool I'm one of the developers for. I've implemented several Oomph tasks now and made my PhD tooling with it, and so on and so on. At Capgemini, I'm since 2012. And working in projects, and due to my experiences in Eclipse, I'm one of the guys who are fostered with making work easier, making startup easier with IDEs. And therefore we had come up with a solution. So everybody knows about this. You should get started in your project. Maybe you are on different projects similar, and it's like, okay, if you like to start with our tutorials here. So you get a site and you start, and it's quite easy because if you follow all the steps, you will finish and everything is good. If you reach the end, you can start developing. So it's nice if you see this. And yeah, if everything went correct, so basically, and you are lucky, because basically there are too many traps in it, and some people get lost, some people make faults, and they do not even know where to start then, and maybe they reset up everything. So it's a common thing. And basically, you get lucky because I think you also know this. You get a lot of things in Eclipse, you set up it again the first time, and it's not working. There are some issues, the guy's coming up, what's up here? Is this right? Is this okay? And we've collected some of the errors we have seen. So, yeah. So you will communicate again with your guys and saying, okay, maybe you've made a fault. I don't know this error. Set up again. So, and this is not what you want to have. Therefore, we made our own requirements. We sit together and thought, what should be the best way to start on a project? It should take less than 10 minutes. So just configure your IDE, set up your environment, start. Because this is basically nonsense to work on your setup for each project a day. We want to have as much automation because of time constraints. And also to prevent manual mistakes. Some guys are a little bit slippy and skip one step, and afterwards they have the wrong environment variables and so on. So this is all bad and comes to these errors. We want to easily update tools and configurations without, again, setting up and cloning all the repositories and so on, and again, configuring our tooling to our needs. We want to have some flexibility for the developers, because developers are special. So every one of you know he wants to have his tool and he wants to have his configuration. Beside that, there are some common configurations you have should have in a project, like code formatting is fine, but you will have your own configuration. And this is maybe a requirement which comes from a company and working on different projects, because you cannot leave just a project. You will be kept as an expert, and you will have to dig into code in several projects. So it would be nice if I can have on my file system, on my PC, several project environments, including everything. So especially Java version, especially Maven version, and so on and so on. So I want to be easily feasible to switch just project workspaces with all the environment variables. And basically, this is also nice thing. We want to distribute this to external contributors. So for a company like Capgemini, it's nice if we can just start with the university. And the guys are checking it out. So you know Oomph, it's easy. And we want to have this as well for the whole stack. So this should be a result. I think it's also common. You would have to have all the integrations, especially for a project. You would just have a setup Eclipse, and this is basically done by Oomph already. So, what are the failed approaches? Creation of VM. There's always a discussion why not setting up in a VM. But if you are switching in seconds between projects, this gets messy. Your PCs get even expensive because you need all the resources to start up VMs again and again. And what about updating? What about updating your Eclipse environment? What about updating a Java dependency? It's not that easy, especially when you do not want to lose work. And then there are Eclipse plugins like Work Mechanic, which is discontinued, and other stuff, which try to make a common configuration and deploy it. And there's Oomph. So we talked about Oomph only, so how to proceed with this. Basically, there's a documentation. So there's less documentation, that's a problem, and therefore I'm here, by the way. And, but there's also nothing about installing Java, Maven, whatever. So we have to do it somehow by your own. And therefore we have this oasp4j-ide. So basically OASP, it's a bad name, I think, but it's standing for an open source architecture, open architecture standard platform, which has brought to the open source by Capgemini. And basically, it consists of some scripts, but I will go into detail in a moment. We want to have a KISS approach, keep it stupid simple. It should not be that complex, especially in maintenance. We want to have it working with any version of binaries, basically. Here are some. We want to have no VM approach, and updating settings should be just running a script. Maybe you know Yatta already, so Yatta profiles will make this even more fluent, but there are other issues, like you have to deploy your configurations on an external server, which is basically bad for a company. And we want to have a project owner, which is in full control, for example, code style. But the developers should be of control of their UI and so on and so on and so on. And the magic is basically this file system. So you can imagine you have one folder, and this folder consists everything, your whole development environment. And so the oasp4j-ide basically consists of all these scripts. There are different scripts like variables, setting environment variables. So there are setting up workspaces. I will go into detail in a moment. And there is a folder called software. And this is everything you have to have for your application or application development. So there's Maven, there's Node.js, Python. There's everything there. And there are scripts like console.bat, which initializes the path to exactly what you have in your folder. So when you are switching the folders to another project, you will get exactly the software which is lying here. And it's even easy to update this. I can just replace a folder for my whole team. So just shipping another folder. And there are, so we implemented a way to have different workspaces. Workspaces in a sense, not in the Eclipse sense, but you want to have, for example, multiple places to work, like master, like whatever, development. And you want to not use, again, this Eclipse switching workspace, because then you have one instance, but maybe you want to have different Eclipses running, and one in a legacy path where you have to backport a bug, and one in the current branch. So there's the script update our workspaces, and this just runs on and sets the settings which we share via SVN or Git to the different workspaces. And now you see there are new Eclipse runners here. And these basically are scripts which are running Eclipse with the right environment variables. And it's setting Eclipse with the right JDK, with Maven, and so on and so on. Everything is set if you run this with the scripts. And it will run automatically in the right workspace, so I can have different workspaces. So, but where are the settings? So currently we have a very basic approach. You can have a settings folder, which is linked in the preferences of the scripts. And there are different properties for Maven, for PMD, for Eclipse. And you may already see some structure. There is a setup folder, which is just initializing, and an update for if I rerun the script and I share this and I let the developers make an update of this, they will get a new version of properties. And now you may see the structure here is exactly the file structure which you will see in your workspace. And we haven't done anything else than just extracting the properties we want to have and merging them back into the workspace. So there's no Eclipse magic going on, because it's a KISS principle. We just want to have some properties like coding style just copied into the metadata of the workspaces of every. And therefore, sharing this via SVN, for example, or Git, you can easily distribute your settings and control the code formatting of your whole team. Because they're just updating, running, update our workspaces, and they will get the new settings in their Eclipse. So this is the whole magic of oasp4j. And yeah, so what you gain is 100% reproducible results. And this is what we want to have. We do not want to debug our setup. We have a one-click deployment, so you can zip this all and just put it to your developers. They unzip it and can run it. So everything is there beside the project, which has to be checked out. But it's system dependent, so I have to build the Eclipse once for every system, for every architecture if I like, and then ship different zips. External provisioning, so shipping the zip, for example, to students or whatever, is not possible because of licenses. I cannot ship Java. And it's not that easy to manage these preferences, because you have to dig into the preferences files of Eclipse. Some are binaries and so on, to extract what you really want to share. And this is a little bit nasty. So what about solutions? For Eclipse, it's quite easy because there's Oomph, and you get this provisioning for free. I do not have to build it by my own now, so this is quite nice. I can even have a project startup configuration, which is missing also in oasp4j, because I want to have one click, and Eclipse or the setup should clone the right repositories, maybe set up the package explorer to the right layout, and so on and so on. But there are no file operations, because I need this whole file structure. I have to deploy it somehow. And the question is how I can do this, especially if I have to provide Maven and so on. I can provide a zip, but basically everything is in the web, so why not downloading it directly? So we wrote new task for it to do so. Then there is an issue that with oasp4j-ide you can have bundle ranges on dependencies. So the build of Oomph is not deterministic. So you may have, due to transitive dependencies, you may have indeterministic build. But I talked to the Oomph guys, so there's one undocumented way again. So I will check this. Currently we are zipping the whole stuff, so there's one guy building up the Eclipse, that's me, and I'm shipping company internally, I'm shipping a zip. For external guys, they are running our Oomph profile, but that's not a problem. And, oh sorry, and then there's the other profiles. There you have this complete preferences management of Eclipse, which is really fine. But as I said, shared preferences are external. So as of yesterday, there was standing no go. And now I talked to the right guys. And they will make it, they will publish a server version such that a company can deploy it on a server. And then you can even use the other profiles internally. So I really like this. And I hope to see it soon. Yeah, I was thinking about making a live demo of the whole installation process, and I tried it. Basically, I cannot make this nice feature, make it offline, because you have to get everything from the web, like Maven and so on. But we have our own profile, and just to give you an intuition, so just having So what we are doing is we are listing here the versions which will be inside of the different projects, and as of the ability, we cannot download Java currently, because you can, but it's a huge effort because you have to accept the license, you have to show the license, and so on and so on. So we are just saying this is the only precondition: you have to install Java JDK once on your machine, and then you link it here in a property. And what the setup will do is it will copy the JDK installation to this project folder, and therefore it's isolated again. You may have, you can even think of providing different zips internally for a company for different Java versions and just linking them here. Doesn't mind, but this is just, if you're an external person, you should do it like this way. So what have you implemented? Basically a lot of tasks. So you see there are download tasks in Oomph. You can download from the web or wherever you want from a local network path. There are unzip tasks for different formats like zip, tar, NSI. So we are unzipping the stuff we have got from the internet. There is file system copy, so we can copy stuff like the Java installation, rename task, and we have some command line interface task, because sometimes you just want to have one command and do not want to have a task for it. And basically, I talked to my guy yesterday, every task of this is also running on Linux now. So what we really wanted to have is a full-featured Oomph, which is even deploying all this oasp4j stuff on Linux. So I will not run it, as the offline tech is basically nonsense here. Yeah?
All tasks are standard Oomph tasks, or you contribute this in your installation somehow, or is it planned to contribute to Oomph?
I'm not yet thought about directly contributing it, but I can do it. I don't mind. Currently it's on GitHub. So all the tasks are on my repositories on GitHub, but yeah, I might contribute this task as well, so I don't mind.
So Oomph lets you build your own tasks, and that's you were showing all those tasks up front were tasks that he implemented that are extensions to.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't make sense that everybody implements file system copy tasks or file system, or run this command task.
No, we might as well have one implementation.
Yeah, so we may chat again about this, so maybe it's a good idea to just contribute them. Currently, as I said, you can find them on the web. This is also true for oasp4j-ide, so as I said, it's open source. And there's a lot stuff, but the interesting stuffs are here. These are the scripts you have seen. They are also open source, you can use them. And this profile you have seen in the installer for oasp4j will be, so it is already open source, basically it's here. So you can maybe have a look at how the tasks are used and so on. So everything can be seen. Okay, so there's some time left and sometimes a question. What are the next steps? We want to have determinism. Basically, this is one part we are working on now to make this happen. The other is what we would like to have automatic distribution of provisioning updates. So maybe I, as a project owner, want to install an update of a plugin and automatically should be distributed to the other guys. This would be really fine. Basically, it's an advanced topic. I don't think there's a solution yet, but would be nice. So I've heard about this, never tried it.
This will be the solution, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I talked to some other people about even having an option to check, sort of a check for updates kind of thing, that you actually decide periodically once per day to see has the remote configuration changed.
Okay, but then you have also determinism because there's just one solution, right? Okay, so that will be fine.
And these updates will be applied silently, I mean, without user interaction.
I mean, you could, right now we have actually added a prompt for if we are going to update your installation, we ask you on startup, we'll do that automatically, but it will ask you if you want or about the update, do you want that? Say remember, so never do it, or always do it without prompting, but that's the general idea.
Can one enforce this? No prompting?
Yeah.
But the new setup files or the updates to the setup files could introduce new variables that would require new prompting to the users, for example.
They could, but not so likely.
The point is to distribute the plugin to 100 developers.
It's a preference, so you can automatically set a preference to not prompt, but just always do it.
But it just runs with the setup task, right? You can not even say, okay, now I have a next version like Neon or whatever, and just deploy a new zip, which is completely different, and Oomph will do the rest. So I think this will not work.
You can change the remote setup file.
Okay, so this would work, and it's robust enough to reset up everything.
That's what we do with the Eclipse packages.
Okay.
It's like a latest version, and as soon as there's a new release,
Yeah.
your ID updates to the latest version.
Yeah, that's nice. So, I have to learn again. Oomph is even much more feature-rich than I thought about. And it's documented, by the way. Yeah, so, and the last thing is even one part which is also missing. I want to have a product catalog as well in a private Git repository or something like this to be able to have my whole setup for my company's projects in one or more locations, but are private. So these are the next steps to go for. We forked Oomph on GitHub, made some adjustments for us because, so there are some minor issues just to show you. But this is specific. It's already gone. Okay, so this is my version. I think here it should be launched automatically, and it's gone. So we just removed it because you have to use your our scripts. Otherwise, just launching Eclipse, you will use the environment variables of your system, and this will not work. Okay, so but it's gone. Hopefully, also in this version. I think it's mine. Yeah. So this is.
I think you should like request.
Yeah. So now I learned how to contribute.
You have a system property that turns off some field you don't want.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. So questions.